Annyeonghaseyo, everyone. Welcome back to the Korean Learning Zone, your friendly podcast dedicated to making Korean language learning, well, easier and more fun. I'm Minji, your guide on this language journey.
And annyeonghaseyo. I'm Jisoo, your fellow learner, always ready to dive into the next big challenge. It's great to be back here with all of you.
It's wonderful to have you, Jisoo. Today, we're tackling a topic that often makes Korean learners scratch their heads. But don't worry, we're here to simplify it for you. We're going to unravel the mysteries of Korean particles, specifically yun, nyun, iga, and ul, ryul.
Oh, the notorious particles. I know I've mixed them up more times than I can count, so I'm really looking forward to getting some clarity today. This is going to be so helpful for everyone listening.
Absolutely. Our goal is to break them down into easy-to-understand concepts, give you clear examples, and even have a little practice session. So get ready to demystify these essential building blocks of Korean sentences with us. So let's dive right into our first particle pair. These are what we call topic markers in Korean. Think of them as signposts for the main subject or the topic of your sentence. Their primary function is to introduce what you're talking about, or sometimes to highlight a contrast between different things. When you want to say, as for X, X is this way, that as for X part is often where union comes in. It sets the stage for the rest of the sentence.
Okay, so it's like saying, regarding this thing, and then you talk about it. That makes sense. But I always get confused about when to use and when to use nun. Is there a specific rule for that?
That's an excellent question, Jisoo, and it's a very common point of confusion. It's all about the last sound of the word it attaches to. If the word ends in a consonant, you attach yun. For example, if you have saiji, which means book, it ends with a consonant. So you would say seigun. But if the word ends in a vowel, you attach nayun. So for na, meaning I or me, which ends in a vowel, you'd say naniyun. It's all about smooth pronunciation, you know?
Ah, so it's a consonant-vowel harmony thing, like with other Korean grammar points. Tegun, nanan. I think I'm starting to get it. So, just to clarify, when I want to introduce something for the first time, like, this is my friend, would I use nun for my friend if they are the topic of what I'm about to say?
Exactly. If your friend is the main topic you want to discuss, you would use ian nyun with their name or my friend. It signals to the listener, hey, listen up. We're talking about this person now. It's really useful for setting context. Now that we've talked about yunnun, let's move on to another crucial pair, I-gay. While yunnun marks the topic, I-gay are subject markers. Their job is to highlight the specific subject of a sentence. Think of it this way. If yun san nyun is about what you're generally talking about, IGA is about who or what is performing the action or what is being identified specifically. It often introduces new information or identifies a particular person or thing.
So if un는 is like as for X, then iga is more like X is the one who, or it is X that. Is that a good way to think about it? Kind of narrowing it down to a specific subject?
That's a really good way to put it, Jisoo. You've captured the essence. It emphasizes the subject as the doer or the specific entity being discussed. For example, if you say goyangiga jayo, which means the cat sleeps, you're specifically highlighting that it's the cat that is sleeping rather than just talking about cats in general. And just like yunyun, aige also has a rule for attaching. If the word ends in a consonant, you use I. So seg becomes kigi. If it ends in a vowel, you use ga, like na becomes nega.
Okay, so the attachment rule is similar, consonant-vowel, but the core difference is that nun sets the broad topic, while ga zooms in on the specific subject doing the action or being identified. So if I ask, who's sleeping, and the answer is the cat is sleeping, I would use ga for cat because I'm identifying the specific subject. Is that right?
Precisely. You got it. IGA answers questions like who or what in a sentence, often bringing new specific information to the forefront, especially when there are choices involved or when you're pointing something out. Great. Now that we've covered yun, nyun, and aige, let's move on to the third essential particle for today, ul, reol. This one is called the object marker. So while aige tells us who or what is doing the action, ul real tells us who or what is receiving the action of the verb. It directly points out the direct object in a sentence.
So it marks the thing that the verb is acting upon, right? Like if I say I eat an apple, the apple is the one being eaten. So it would get ul or ril.
Exactly. That's a perfect way to think about it. The apple is the direct object of the verb eat. And just like the other particles, yul reul also has a rule for attaching. If the noun ends with a consonant, you use yul. For example, keg, meaning book, becomes segul. If the noun ends with a vowel, you use riul. So sagwa for apple becomes sagwariul. It's all about whether the last sound is a consonant or a vowel.
Got it. So consonant ending gets ul, vowel ending gets r. That makes sense. Are there any common Korean verbs that almost always need an object marked with ul or rul? Like verbs that just naturally take a direct object?
Okay, now that we've talked through all three particles, let's go back and see yun and nun in action with some examples. This will help really solidify the concept of it being a topic marker. So our first example is 저는 한국 사람이에요. Can you try to translate that, Jisoo?
저는 I am Korean, right? So 저 means I, and because it ends in a vowel, 는 is attached. Is the topic I in this case?
Perfectly correct. I am Korean. Here, geo, which means I, is the topic. We are talking about I as the main subject of the conversation. Let's try another one. This time we'll see it used for contrast. 오늘 날씨는 좋아요.
오늘 날씨는 좋아요. So today's weather is good. Is the topic today's weather? And maybe the implied contrast is with yesterday's weather or tomorrow's?
You've got it exactly. The topic is 오늘 날씨, today's weather. And yes, the nun here strongly implies a contrast, like today's weather is good, unlike perhaps yesterday's, or maybe we expect tomorrow's to be different. It highlights that specific topic. That's a key role of yun, you know. Great job, Jisoo. You're really picking up on the nuances. Now let's shift our focus to IAJ and see how it works in sentences. Remember, this particle highlights the specific subject. So for our first example, how about this? 지오지오시 이자예요.
저것이 의자예요. So that translates to that is a chair. And 저것 means that thing, right? So in this case, 저것 is the subject that's being highlighted. And since it ends in a consonant, E is attached.
Absolutely correct. 지오지오시 이자예요. Here, geogios is indeed the subject. And we're identifying that particular thing as a chair. It's about pointing out the specific subject. Let's try another one. This next sentence is a bit more active. 고양이가 자요.
고양이가 자요. The cat is sleeping. So 고양이 means cat, and it's followed by 가 because it ends in a vowel. The subject here is 고양이, the cat, and we're saying the cat is doing the action of sleeping.
Perfect, you nailed it. 고양이가 자요. The cat is the specific subject performing the action of sleeping. We are identifying who or what is sleeping. You're doing great, Jisoo. You are truly doing great, Jisoo. Your understanding of these particles is really impressive. Now, for our final particle, let's look at yil reul in action. This one tells us what the direct object of a verb is, remember?
Right. The thing that the action is being performed on. I think I've got it, but examples will definitely help solidify it.
Of course. So let's start with this common phrase, 물을 마셔요.
물을 마셔요. That means I drink water, or to drink water, right? So 물 is water, and it has 을 attached. The verb 마셔요 means to drink. The direct object is 물, water, because that's what you're drinking.
Exactly. 물을 마셔요. Here, 물 is the direct object because it's what you are drinking. And because 물 ends with a consonant, we attach 이ul. Excellent work identifying the object. Let's try one more. How about this? 기절 읽어요.
Okay, 책을 읽어요. 책 means book, and 읽어요 means to read. So it's I read a book or to read a book. And 책 ends with a consonant, so it gets 을. The direct object is 책 again because the book is what's being read.
That's absolutely perfect, Jisoo. You've got it. 기절 읽어요. The book, 책이, is indeed the direct object. You're identifying what you're reading. You've grasped the core function of yul reul. You are truly doing great, Jisoo. Your understanding of these particles is really impressive. Now, for our final particle, let's look at yul reul in action. This one tells us what the direct object of a verb is. Remember?
Right, the thing that the action is being performed on. I think I've got it, but examples will definitely help solidify it.
Of course. So let's start with this common phrase. 물을 마셔요.
물을 마셔요. That means I drink water, or to drink water, right? So 물 is water, and it has 을 attached. The verb 마셔요 means to drink. The direct object is 물, water, because that's what you are drinking.
Exactly. 물을 마셔요. Here, 물 is the direct object because it's what you are drinking. And because 물 ends with a consonant, we attach yul. Excellent work identifying the object. Let's try one more. How about this? 그절 읽어요.
Okay, 책을 읽어요. 책 means book and 읽어요 means to read. So it's I read a book or to read a book. And 책 ends with a consonant, so it gets 을. The direct object is 책 again because the book is what's being read.
That's absolutely perfect, Jisoo. You've got it. 책을 읽어요. The book, sage, is indeed the direct object. You're identifying what you are reading. You've grasped the core function of yul reul. All right, Jisoo, and all our listeners out there, it's time for a little particle challenge. I'm going to give you a sentence with a blank, and you need to tell me which particle, yun, nyun, iga, or yul reul, fits best, and why. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Bring it on. I feel pretty confident, but let's see.
Great attitude. Here's the first one. 이 사과 space 맛있어요. Think about what we've learned.
이 사과 맛있어요. 이 사과가 맛있어요.
That's absolutely correct, Jisoo. 이 사과가 맛있어요. We're pinpointing that specific apple, so 이가 is perfect. Okay, next one. 저는 커피 space 마셔요.
Okay. 저는 커피 and then 마셔요 means drink. So I drink coffee. Coffee is the thing being drunk, so it's the direct object. Coffee ends with a vowel, so it should be 를. So 저는 커피를 마셔요.
Spot on again. 저는 커피를 마셔요. Kyopi is indeed the object of the verb 마셔요. You're crushing this, Jisoo. Last one for this challenge. 제 이름 space 민지예요.
My name is Minji. So 제 이름은 is the topic of the sentence. It's what we're introducing. 이름 ends with a consonant, so it should be 은. 제 이름은 민지예요.
Excellent, Jisoo. That's perfectly correct. 제 이름은 민지예요. You're introducing your name as the topic of conversation. You aced the challenge. Wow, Jisoo, you really did ace that challenge. And I think we've covered a lot of ground today, helping our listeners understand these essential Korean particles.
I definitely feel a lot clearer about them now. So, just to recap for everyone, 는 is for the general topic, what we're talking about, or for contrast. Like, as for me,
Exactly. And IGA is for the specific subject, identifying who or what is doing the action or introducing new information. You know, it is this specific thing.
Right, and or 를 is our object marker, telling us what the direct object of the verb is, what's being acted upon, the thing that's being eaten, read, or drunk.
Perfect summary, Jisoo. It really highlights the key distinctions. Learning these particles might seem a bit tricky at first, but with practice, they'll start to feel natural. Don't be discouraged if you don't get it right away. Just keep listening, keep practicing, and keep speaking.
Absolutely. Every mistake is just another step closer to mastering Korean. Keep going, everyone. You're doing great.
Thank you for joining us on Korean Learning Zone. Until next time, keep studying hard.